Anthony Jones gets the quick escape for Michigan State, so that score now goes to 3-2. Riding time not a factor.
Quick stand up by Winston. Gillespie brings him right back down. Gillespie is a returning All-American, finished 8th a year ago, went 3-3 at the tournament. See if Winston tries to kick out as Gillespie locks in the leg. And brings him right back down to the mat. Mike Evans, the number 5 seed for Iowa, wrestling Kyle Blevins of Appalachian State.
Mike Evans, the redshirt freshman from Iowa, has had a good season this year.
Injury timeout. They're taking a look at Jones for Michigan State. He currently has the 3-2 lead.
A little headgear problem as well.
Riding time not a factor there for Jones and White. Kokesh, Nebraska, hanging on. He will win. The Huskers pick up another victory in this opening round. 4-1 decision. He's able to beat Zach Toll of Missouri. See if Winston goes back into a stand-up. He tries to.
Coming back into that tripod stand-up, you notice how Gillespie has his right shoulder underneath the tricep or behind the tricep. He's hand fighting in there, trying to keep the wrist free, and he's going to go ahead and big move situation here. Bear hug. Nice job by Gillespie of staying with that. Notice how he didn't create any hip separation, didn't allow Winston to separate his hips. Winston did the right thing, just basically kind of bail out of that.
So a couple of tight bouts, both in the third period. Jones and White, Michigan State, Oklahoma State, 3-2 Jones, and Gillespie and Winston. Hofstra, Rutgers, 3-2 Gillespie with the advantage.
Well, look at this situation here with Mike Evans from Iowa. Got the leg in. He's pretty tough in the top position. I think really tough. Seen him really be able to go ahead and control guys in tough situations and also get back points. He probably works the old crossbody ride as good as anybody in the country right now.
We should mention Gillespie has riding time advantage, so really he's looking at a 2-point lead with Winston. The Rutgers wrestler needs to shoot, and he needs to do it in a hurry, down to 15 seconds.
Yeah, right there he needed to just push him off the mat so he'd get a new start. So it's not an opportunity to go ahead and hit his best shot.
Anthony Jones is added to the lead. It looks like Michigan State's going to get a victory here. Jones for the Spartans, a 5-2 lead. He will hold White there, and it will be a decision win. So Anthony Jones, the number 10 seed, Michigan State, 5-2 decision. Winston was able to get the escape, but as we mentioned, riding time was a factor, so that turns out to be the difference, and it's a victory for P.J. Gillespie of Hofstra, 4-3. He moves into the second round.
And I think an important match to watch also is Cody Yon here from the University of Minnesota. He's been a guy who hasn't been on a roll, kind of struggled. He's the number 10 seed. He had some nice wins earlier in the season, and he just hasn't had his game going. And Castle from Cal Poly is the wrestler he's going against, and that's again a wrestler I don't think is necessarily wrestling with a tremendous amount of confidence, but things changed almost overnight here in the NCAAs. And
as a coach, how do you try to change that? Say you see a veteran wrestler, in this case Jan, struggling maybe toward the end. How do you try to regroup them in such a short time coming off a conference tournament?
Well, you just try to remind him of what he's good at, right? You just always about what you're good at, what your go-to moves are, what do you want to try to do in every situation, and maybe sometimes eliminate or limit the learning, okay? All these wrestlers are trying to learn techniques that will give them the edge, but just go back and remember what you're strong at and focus on those things and try to keep the match in your strengths. The best way to get guys out of slumps is a lot of drilling and a lot of focus on this is what you do. You simplify things, and when you feel this, you go to your shot. When you this is what you're trying to do, and don't make things too much about strategy. Make it about what you can do out there.
break it down, even simplify even more.
Yeah, you hear so many times that coaches in other sports, I mean, when things aren't going well for them, what do? They start ripping out pages of the playbook. We do this, this, and this.
We have a fresh batch of matches. Let's get you caught up with. Let's do a quick trip around the Scott Trade Center. Andrew Sorensen, the number 3 seed, Iowa State. He's wrestling Joe Booth of Drexel. Cody Yon, Minnesota. Dominic Castle of Cal Poly. And we also have Brandon Hatchett, the senior from Lehigh, out to a 2-0 lead on Riders James Brundridge, a sophomore, redshirt sophomore, 20-17. Evans of Iowa with a 4-2 lead on the Appalachian State wrestler Kyle Blevins. Sorensen, the 3 seed for Iowa State, lost in the finals in the Big 12 tournament to Zach Toll of Missouri. Captain, 91 career wins, and Cyclone Nation hoping that he can be the bright spot this year at the tournament for Iowa State.
Yeah, it's a program that hadn't had a lot of bright spots here this year. Kind of in a rebuilding mode, but Andrew Sorensen, the guy who's walked on. Program to begin ends up being their team leader, and he's seeded number 3 and down here in the first match, who looks like a pretty darn tough wrestler in Booth.
Booth for Drexel this season, the junior, finished 3rd at the CAA tournament. 3-time NCAA qualifier, won a couple of matches last season in Philadelphia at the NCAA, so he has experience and he has a 1-point early edge on Sorensen. And Jim, how many times today have we seen one of the top 4 seeds give up some early points?
Quite a bit, you know, and it's just these guys are ready for him, and right now Sorensen has an opportunity to create a little hip separation. That's a good angle on it. If he can go ahead and create more hip separation, and what Booth is trying to do is get his chest a little bit closer to the hips of Sorensen and maybe possibly break him down. Sorensen's kind of scooting now. You take a look at the clock. Is he going to have enough time to be able to score? This is a nice job by Booth, keeping his chest close to the hips. Now see how he improved his position there? The referee called a stalemate. So far, both athletes have had good shots in this match. The Drexel wrestler Booth has been able to finish his technique, and Sorensen has not.
First period will come to an end. Booth with the 2-1 lead. The EIWA champion Brandon Hatchett from Lehigh, the Mountain Hawk, with a 6-0 advantage. Castle of Cal Poly with a 1-0 lead on Yon of Minnesota. Also from the Big Ten, Evans still leading 4-2 for the Iowa Hawkeyes as he starts down in the 3rd period.
Wow, quick escape there by Booth. And I like what he did there. He just kind of changed he just kind of jolted forward a little bit, and then when Sorensen made the adjustment, tried to come up. There's a go behind attempt there by Sorensen. Now he's able to go ahead and answer this. Nice counter shot by Sorensen, so that ties the score up at 3-3.
Jim mentioned it was a tough year for Iowa State.
Jan over here from Minnesota, looking to get a little freedom.
Minnesota with 9 wrestlers competing this year, all 9 seeded. Gopher program that has won 3 championships since the turn of the century, and as far as depth goes, obviously they have the firepower and the seedings to make a run and come away with another national championship, but they have to have Cody Yon continue in at 165.
It's tough to lay the whole thing on one family, but I think the Gophers are going to do pretty well if they're going to rely on the Yon brothers.
Sure.
Cody and Sonny Yon. There's back points by Andrew Sorensen, so he's going to break away in that match there to a 6-3 lead.
Evans unable to get out from underneath, but that's all right if you're Mike Evans right now, leading by 2 inside a minute to go in the 3rd period. Blevins of Appalachian State trying to get him turned over, at least get some points here. Blevins, an at-large qualifier, Southern Conference runner-up this year, lost to Brandon Wright of Chattanooga. Blevins, the 2012 Southern Conference Wrestler of the Year, and he's giving Evans all he can handle. Again, he has rode Evans the entire way, and now a nice roll by Evans, and he'll get the escape for the Hawkeyes on the edge of the mat.
Well, that's a nice job with the shoulder roll there. You know, when you got your opponent trying to push you over the top, that's a great move here. Just roll forward and create a better scramble situation. Now he drops in on the leg. Short time.